king of the world!
At 2:20 a.m. on April 15, 1912, the icy waters of the North Atlantic swallowed the most famous ocean liner in human history. 1,517 people perished, among them, some of the richest men on Earth. But here's the question: just 18 months later, on December 23, 1913, the United States Federal Reserve System was born. One is a maritime disaster. The other is the most important financial institution in American history. In history books, these two events are never discussed together. But what if I told you there is a deliberately hidden connection? What if the sinking of the Titanic was no accident? What if those 1,517 lives were just the price of a much larger plan? Welcome to the boldest financial conspiracy theory in human history. Today, we will uncover the buried secret between the Titanic and the Federal Reserve. To understand the conspiracy, we first need to know the most special passengers on the Titanic. John Jacob Astor IV, the richest man in the world at the time, worth the equivalent of billions of dollars today. Real estate magnate, owner of the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in New York.
And, that's John Jacob Astor, the richest man on the ship. His little wifey there, Madeline, is my age and in a delicate condition. See how she's trying to hide it? Quite the scandal.
Benjamin Guggenheim.
And that's Benjamin Guggenheim and his mistress, Madame Aubert. Mrs. Guggenheim is at home with the children, of course.
American mining and smelting tycoon, head of the Guggenheim family. Isidor Straus. Co-owner of Macy's department store, the king of American retail. These three men shared one thing: they all died on the Titanic. But there was one more man who should have been on that ship. J.P. Morgan, the most powerful banker in America at the time, founder of the Morgan banking empire, and the actual owner of the White Star Line, the company that owned the Titanic. Yes, the Titanic's parent company belonged to Morgan.
Right.
And he cancelled his trip at the very last minute. We know a bit about last-minute cancellations, but let's not digress. Coincidence? Maybe. But conspiracy theorists tell you this was no coincidence. Along with Morgan, his business partner, radio pioneer Guglielmo Marconi, and American financier Henry Frick also cancelled at the last minute. They all accidentally survived. And the three richest men who opposed the Federal Reserve? All perished. To understand all of this, we must go back to 1910. On the night of November 22nd, a completely sealed train carriage left New York City, heading south. Every window was blocked by heavy curtains. Inside were the most important bankers in America. No one knew their destination. Their final stop was hundreds of miles away, Jekyll Island, Georgia. This was a private winter resort owned by America's richest families, a hunting club for the elite, with Morgan as a key member. 1/6 of the world's wealth was concentrated among its members. The club was notified someone would be using the facilities for about 10 days. No other members were allowed entry during that time. All service staff were brought in from other states, and they were told to address guests only by first names, never surnames. Within 50 miles, journalists were kept away. Those present were the so-called 7 banking families of New York. One faction was the Morgan Group. The other was the Rockefeller family's Standard Oil interests. They stayed on Jekyll Island for 10 days, plotting one thing: the creation of a central bank for the United States. But this could not be made known to the American people, because Americans had always opposed central banks. From President Andrew Jackson's era, killing the central bank was the political orthodoxy. So they needed a plan, one that made the central bank look like it served the people, not the bankers. In 1912, it was a presidential election year. The bankers, led by Morgan, backed a political dark horse, Woodrow Wilson. Wilson secured the Democratic nomination before the convention even began. In 1913, Wilson became president. On December 23rd of that year, the Federal Reserve Act passed, and the Fed was born. But conspiracy theorists point out, before all of this could happen, one thing had to be dealt with. Those who opposed a central bank, those with influence, wealth, and the power to stop it. They had to disappear. On April 10, 1912, the Titanic set sail from Southampton. It was her maiden voyage. The unsinkable ship of dreams.
So this is the ship they say is unsinkable.
It is unsinkable. God himself could not sink this ship.
In first class were some of the richest, most influential people of the era. Astor, Guggenheim, Strauss, all on board. Morgan wasn't on board. He said he was unwell. But days later, he was seen in France with a young woman. At 11:40 p.m. on April 14, 1912, the Titanic struck an iceberg.
It's gonna hit!
2.5 hours later, she sank. But conspiracy theorists point to several unexplainable facts. First, the Titanic used state-of-the-art steel. Why did an iceberg cut through it so easily? Some theorists claim ice cannot cut hardened steel. Second, the Californian, only 23 nautical miles away, received distress signals but chose to ignore them and didn't rush to help. Why? Third, why did exactly those men who could have blocked the Federal Reserve all die in the same disaster at the most critical moment for its creation? The conspiracy conclusion: this was not an accident. This was a carefully orchestrated assassination. If this was a conspiracy, who was the mastermind? The most frequent suspect is J.P. Morgan. The reasons? First, Morgan owned the White Star Line, the Titanic's parent company. Second, Morgan was a key driver behind the Federal Reserve's creation. Third, Morgan cancelled his passage at the last minute. Fourth, Morgan had both the motive and the means to eliminate his opponents. But another name often surfaces: the Rothschild family. In this version, the Rothschilds and Morgan together orchestrated the disaster to wipe out all opposition to a central bank.
Americans strive for money. Money is power. Money is the only weapon that the Jew has to defend himself with. Oh, never!
Come, we must speak with you. All of you.
Come closer. Much money is lost through sending gold by coach from one country to another. In times of war, it is seized by the enemy. In times of peace, by thieves. You are 5 brothers. I want you each to start a banking business in a different country. One to go and open a house in Paris, one in Vienna, one in London. Choose the most important centers. In your day, there will be many wars in Europe. And nations that have money to transport will come to the Rothschilds because it will be safe. You must stand by one another. No one brother must be allowed to fail while another brother succeeds. Your 5 banking houses may cover Europe, but you will be one firm, one family, the Rothschilds, who work always together.
This theory has spread widely online. One YouTube video claims, by April 1912, all opposition to the Federal Reserve was eliminated. In December 1913, the Fed was born, controlled by an elite banking cartel with the ultimate goal of enslaving humanity. QAnon followers also embrace this. They point out that Donald Trump repeatedly mentioned 1913 in his speeches, the year America shifted from tariffs to income tax and created the Fed. To them, this is hidden knowledge.
From 1789 to 1913, we were a tariff-backed nation, and the United States was proportionately the wealthiest it has ever been. So wealthy, in fact, that in the 1880s, they established a commission to decide what they were going to do with the vast sums of money they were collecting. We were collecting so much money so fast, we didn't know what to do with it. Isn't that a nice problem to have? What do you think, Marco? Good problem? Marco would love that problem. But we don't have that problem anymore, but we're not going to have it very much longer, I will tell you. But they collected so much money, they actually formed a commission to determine what they were going to do with the money, who they were going to give it to, and how much. Then in 1913, for reasons unknown to mankind, they established the income tax. But it's not too late any longer, and we're going to start being smart, and we're going to start being very wealthy again. We're going to be wealthy as a country because they've taken so much of our wealth away from us. We're not going to let that happen. We truly can be very wealthy. We can be so much wealthier than any country. It's not even believable, but we're getting smart. Nearly a century later.
Theorists love to highlight that these 3 men's combined fortune today would be about $11 billion. In other words, to kill opposition, the bankers were willing to sacrifice the equivalent of $11 billion in today's money. Plus 1,517 innocent souls. Of course, historians and fact-checkers ridicule this theory. Titanic expert George Behe points out that there is no known document showing that Astor, Guggenheim, or Strauss opposed the Federal Reserve. In fact, in 1911, the New York Times reported that Astor strongly supported the idea. Reuters published a detailed report in 2021 thoroughly debunking this conspiracy. Titanic historian J. Kent Layton said, "There's a theory that J.P. Morgan opposed the Federal Reserve and had the ship sunk to kill millionaires on board. But the evidence just doesn't hold up." Snopes rates this claim as an unfounded conspiracy theory. Experts agree, the Titanic sank because it hit an iceberg. That's it.
Smell ice, can you? Bleeding Christ.
As for the Federal Reserve, it is true that bankers pushed for it, and the Jekyll Island meeting really happened. But those are open historical facts, not secret plots. Morgan did cancel at the last minute, but he was unwell, and he had already sailed on the ship's sister vessels many times. As for the Californian, it didn't rescue because its radio operator had gone off duty and never received the distress calls. So, what is the truth?
This is it!
Was the Titanic deliberately sunk? Was the Federal Reserve truly built on the deaths of 1,517 people? The evidence leans toward no. But this story persists because it touches our deepest fear. Fear of power. Fear that unseen elites are manipulating the world. Fear that behind major historical events lies a darker, hidden truth. The Fed was created by bankers. It does centralize enormous power. It was born in 1913, just 18 months after the Titanic sank. Those are facts. But stringing those facts into a murder conspiracy, that is a different story. One that may never be proven and may never be completely killed. Please like and subscribe. Share the video. As usual, stay curious and question everything. See you in the next one.